Let's talk about how to handle update of number of an item in the shopping cart. For example, if a user clicks plus or minus, or simply just type in the number in the input box, the child component cart list item will emit an update event to its parent cart list component. But we're not going to do the update in the cart list component. Instead, the cart list component will keep emitting this update event to its parent component, which is shopping cart. And we're going to do the update in the list of the shopping cart. Next, we're going to go back to VS Code and show you how to implement this update. First, we're going to work on detecting the click event in this cart list item component. So I'm in second component, cart list item. This is the A tag for minus, and this is the A tag for plus. And we're going to define two add click. So once this A tag is being clicked, we're going to call a function called subtract1. We're going to pass two arguments to it. The first one is the ID of the item. So we know that which item is being clicked. The second argument is the current number of this item, item.number. For plus, it's very similar. Add click. This time we're going to call add1. And also there are two arguments, item.id, item.number. Next, we're going to define subtract1 and add1 in the methods of this second component. So after delete, subtract1 function, and there are two parameters, ID and current number. So in this function, we're going to emit an update event to its parent, which is cart list. This dot emit. There are two arguments. The first one is the name of the event. Here I call it cart update number. The second argument is the value that I want to pass to the parent component, but I'm going to pass them in one object. So here I'm going to create a JS object and send this JS object to the parent. In this JS object, there are two properties. ID is ID, and number is current number minus 1, because this is subtract. So we're sending this to the parent, which is cart list. Cart list is sending it to its parent, shopping cart, and we're going to update the number from 1 to 0 in this case. Okay, next is for add1. So it's very similar. I just copy and paste. But this time, we're going to change it to +1. So 1 becomes 2. That's all for the child. We're going to leave this input box. Now we only focus on plus and minus. So let's go to its parent, cart list. That's the third component right here. So in the third component, the parent is going to listen to this event, add cart update number. So if this event occurs, the parent component, cart list, will keep emitting this event. So we're not doing any processing in cart list. You can think of this cart list as forwarding this event to its parent. Emit. Please note, this event is really a JS object that has ID and number. Okay, so we're done with third component. Let's go to the parent component, which is shopping cart. That's the fifth one, right? In the fifth one, for tag cart list, besides cart delete event, we're also going to listen to cart update number event. So once this event occurs, we're going to call a function we defined in the shopping cart component. So let's make a function update number. Next, let's implement this update number method in the shopping cart. So scroll down. After delete cart, here we have value. Now remember, this value has two properties, ID and the new number. So I'm going to iterate through my data here and find an item with ID equal to the ID provided by the child component and change its number to the new number. So this dot list dot sum, I'm going to use sum method. Item arrow function. If item.id is equal to value.id, if I find this one, I'm going to change item's number to value.number. Then we'll terminate, return true. Okay, so let me right click and view in browser. I'm going to press plus, and please pay attention to total. Well, it's very interesting. It looks like it's updating, but then the entire page refreshes, so it comes back to the old value. So let's do the same thing for the minus. As you can see, it is changing, but quickly the page refreshes. Why? The problem is the A tag. So let's go to the second component. So the default behavior of A tag is every time we click it, we will go to the path that provided in href. If href is empty, then by default, pressing this A tag will refresh the current page. And every time we refresh the current page, all the updates will be lost. Because every time you refresh, we're going to reload the array of 5 items, and we're still having 1 item, no matter how many times you click this plus. So what should we do? How do we prevent the default behavior of A tag? The answer is we're going to use dot prevent. And the same thing here. Dot prevent. Save. Now I'm going to refresh. This time, if I press plus, it goes to 16,800, 18,300. I do minus, minus, minus. There's a small bug here. If I keep pressing minus, it goes to -1. Okay. Of course, you can add if else to tell if it's minus, then you no longer allow to update this number. In the end, let's finish one more feature, which is we're letting user to type in a number in the input box. For example, 10. Once this input box loses focus, this total price will also change as well. The reason we have this feature is if the user wants 100 jars of dragon liver, he can simply just put it here instead of clicking this plus 100 times. Next, let's go to VS Code and implement this feature. So we're going to define a @blur for this input box. Once this blur event occurs, a function called change number will be invoked. And we're going to pass 2 things to it. item.id, so I know that which item's number is being changed in the input box. The second one is the event itself. And of course, we have to define this change number in the methods of the second component, cart list item. So scroll down. Right now, there are already 3 methods: delete, subtract 1, add 1. So after add 1, we have change number. The first formal parameter is ID. The second one is called event. So the method body is very similar to add 1. So I'm going to copy this and paste. In change number, we're going to emit a cart update number event and passing ID to its parent, which is a cart list. But this time, we're not going to pass cart number plus 1. We're going to pass the number the user inputs in the input box. How do we get it? Since we have event, in event, we have an attribute called event dot target. Event dot target in this case is the input box, and we want dot value. So this one will give us the current value user inputs in the input box. Okay, so just make sure they know that this target really represents the HTML element that generates this event. Okay, and we want the value in this target, which is the input box. That's it. So if user clicks subtract 1, we emit this event. If clicks plus, we emit the same event but different value. And if user put in a number in the input box, we emit the same event but also different value. So let's go to Chrome and refresh. If I change it to 10, and when I click here, pay attention to the total price. As you can see, the price is changed. Here, 17 is also changed.